Hey everyone, welcome into Warp Factor 10, a show about all things Star Trek here on the Arena Productions. I'm your host, Expat, and we have another Star Trek Lower Decks recap and review. But before we get into it, just want to let all of you know that this is a spoiler-filled recap and review of Season 4, Episode 7 of Star Trek Lower Decks. So if you have not watched the episode, please go to Paramount Plus and watch it before coming back and enjoying this episode, because there's going to be spoilers throughout as I discuss the episode. So with that said, that's your spoiler warning. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So episode 7 is titled A Few Badgeys More. So this was completely about Badgey and Agamus and Peanut Hamper. But anyway, the episode starts off in the Kala system, where fragments of ships are floating everywhere. As well as just as it's left out in the scraps in season 3, good old Badgey now giving away Starfleet secret codes, and Badgey takes over the crew member's brain as the show breaks into the intro. And then we see this Binar ship as the intro finishes, and this Binar ship is a casualty again of this mysterious ship that's been moving around in space the whole season. And the Binar ship seems to be obliterated, and Badgey, who's taken over the salvage ship, wants to take a look at the wreckage that was left over from it, supposedly the wreckage. Yeah. So then we head back to the Cerritos, where the crew is testing shuttle grapplers, and it almost takes off Tindy's arm. Yeah. And I loved when Tindy said, "Science and engineering are messy." And she was happy that they stuck with it, even though it didn't work out the way they wanted. And that's that's the whole part of this episode. That's basically what this episode is moving on, is sticking with something even though it doesn't work out the way you wanted it to work out, and seeing something through. So that was kind of the juxt of this episode, so to speak. So the Cerritos is investigating the Binar distress call, and Tindy goes to Daystrom with Boimler, since she was the liaison to Peanut Hamper, who's now basically up for parole, for the third time. And Boimler is going to talk to Agamus, because Agamus wanted to talk to only him, because he supposedly has knowledge of the Binar attack. So you get back to Earth and Daystrom, the Daystrom Institute, and you see this group therapy with AI conquered self-doubt and seized personal growth. I like that part. And then Agamus says to Peanut Hamper, "Life forms are as easy to grow as they are to annihilate." I love that. And "I can't wait for our escape plans to come into motion." I love that. And Peanut Hamper saying, "Organics deserve respect. I'll never betray anyone ever again," when she's talking about her parole hearing and everything. So they're both plotting to deceive Boimler and Tindy to escape, of course. And then we get the Cerritos heading to the Nebula, and then get surprised by Badgey, who threatens to destroy them. And Agamus with Boimler back, of course, at the Daystrom Institute, giving some credible intel on the Binar ship, trying to get Boimler to look at the blue light. Look at the blue light. Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. So the Cerritos basically gets pummeled, thanks to Badgey knowing the shield modulation codes. So Rutherford and Mariner, basically, they head over to the ship, and Rutherford stops Badgey by giving his son a hug. I thought that was pretty funny. And then, of course, Boimler and Agamus, they're in a shuttle to locate the drone, and Boimler and Tindy start falling for the blue light, garbage. And then, they get apprehended, and with wireless upgrades used for scheming and not for gardening, of course. And then Badgey splitting all the goodness from his code and creates Guji. And Guji, the silver badge, tries to help them escape. Agamus and Tindy and Boimler end up in Ecuador, of all places. And Tindy is playing with sandcastles. Plumeria was, of course, where Agamus was to conquer with Peanut Hamper, but it looks like Peanut Hamper has betrayed him. So anyway, we get back to Badgey, after almost gassing the Cerritos crew to death, split again and creates Logic-Key. And I like I like Logic-Key because Logic-Key would be a perfect companion for Talin, I think. But anyway, uh, because it's funny, but Badgie, he hates logic, so that's how Logic-Key was created. So anyway, Mariner reminds Boimler of what Tindy said earlier in the episode, about sticking with the science. And Rutherford says, Tindy's right. And then it's like Mariner's like, has to, actually, I was right because I just brought it up. And I thought that was pretty funny. But anyway, Logic-Key then tries to take over Badgie. So then of course, we get back to Plymeria. And you see the banners of Agamus and Peanut Hamper on the main palace. And Boimler is amazed at how fast they'd taken over the planet. And then back to Badgie. I mean, it keeps going back and forth between, Badgie and back and forth between Boimler and Tindy. But anyway, Badgie destroys Logic-Key and wants to transfer himself all over subspace to destroy the Federation. So we get into that. And then back to Peanut Hamper and Agamus, because they locate Peanut Hamper and they're spilling their feelings for each other out, even though Peanut Hamper doesn't want the domination thing anymore, but says they could still be friends without vanquishing people. So Agamus then turns blue before going back to the Daystrom Institute into the prison there. So as Badgie transports his power through subspace relays, we'll get back to Badgie here. He starts to rise out, right out of the galaxy, and I love that part because it kind of reminds me of the Celestial rising, in Marvel's Eternals. I thought that was pretty cool. But anyway, unlimited power and infinite knowledge, and exists in the past and present and future. And then he wants to go to an empty dimension to create a new universe. And Badgie also mentions hanging out with the Q continuum and apologizes for all of the drama. And as he rises, you see the koala image, and everything returns to normal with Guji remaining. And so, like Agamus, we get back to the Daystrom Institute, and he tells Boimler the drone intel. This is interesting, so which you'll probably see a lot of in the next episode. So tells Boimler the drone intel on the Binar was accurate, and the ships that were attacked were not being destroyed by the mysterious ship, but were being stolen. So that's interesting. So, and then finally, Guji becomes the guidance system, and the crew are somewhat happy with Rutherford, but they're just hoping Guji doesn't kill them at some point. So yeah, I love this episode. It was really cool. So we get all the split personalities of Badgie, so a few Badgies more. And then, of course, you get Agamus with Peanut Hamper in this episode. But we're getting towards the end of the season now, and we're now getting to understand. So these ships were not destroyed, but they were being stolen. So, where were they taken to? So it'll be interesting to see in the next episode if we get towards that. But yeah, it was a really great episode. It was really fun to watch. So checking out all this AI again, so from the previous seasons coming back. So I really enjoyed that. So let us know in the comments what you thought of this episode. And if you like this video, please be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell for when we drop another episode of Warp Factor 10, our show about all things Star Trek here on the Arena Productions. So anyway, this is Expat. And until the next recap and review episode that we do next week, live long and prosper and have a great week, everyone. Take care. Peace out.